Welcome to Self-Centered Living, a podcast that serves as a vital platform for women of color across cultures and backgrounds to take charge of our narratives and where our voices are centered. I'm your host, Trish, and here we delve into our diverse experiences and rich humanity through a blend of personal stories and insightful discussions with a range of guests. Our aim is to foster meaningful connections and understanding among our listeners. This season, we're exploring the scripts that shape us, the ones we inherited, the ones that were imposed, and the ones that want to emerge when we can finally see them. I am fortunate to be sitting with Jessica Scott today. How would you introduce yourself to someone you're meeting for the very first time, not giving your resume, but who you are right now?
That was a wonderful question. I've been a doctor for the last 10 years, but now I found myself to be a free soul, really in search of my purpose. And my purpose beyond my profession, beyond what we see every day, what society has really shaped us to be. So I'm a soul who's free and in search of my purpose.
What did the world you grew up in teach you, whether spoken or unspoken, about who you were supposed to become?
I am a middle child from a immigrant Jamaican family. My parents both came here from Jamaica when they were young. My dad was 12, my mom was 17. Growing up in middle class suburban America, we saw the life that my parents created for us, but we also knew the hard work that it took to get there. And they really made sure to show us that we didn't just come from this life of privilege. It took efforts from all sides of the family to get to where we are. Success, being driven, it takes work to create this life was something that was very clearly seen and expectation. You're going to go to school, you're going to excel in school, you're going to do your extracurriculars. Without a doubt, you're going to college, you're going to become whatever you wanted to become, but usually it's some clear path, whether it's a doctor or a lawyer, of some sort. All three of us were very driven in that regards because it's what we've seen and in what is expected because of all the sacrifices that were made for us to get here.
So you're first generation. What are their professions, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so my dad's an ophthalmologist, an eye surgeon, and my mom, she owned a home health care agency as well as a nonprofit throughout the years.
What you absorbed watching them was how hard work leads to success.
Correct.
What I heard you say, that was also expected of you and your siblings. What's the mix of?
I have an older brother and a younger sister. Then there's me. We had a great relationship. I wouldn't say there was much of a sibling rivalry of any sort. We support each other. I'm the balance between the two. Me and my sister are very close. We're closer in age, younger than it's me and my brother. He's 5 years older than me, but we kind of joke with each other, fight with each other a little bit.
Going back to your parents, was there any explicit conversation to say, here's a track for you?
No, they never explicitly said that you need to do this or you needed to become this. At a very early age, I decided that I was going to be an ophthalmologist like my father. My parents had a video when I was in preschool or kindergarten graduation that I went up and said, I want to become an ophthalmologist when I grow up. I've held steadfast to that thing I said at a young age, and everything has just been moving forward towards it. So they fostered that interest that I had. So summer programs. I'm in the gifted science program. So they really just poured into me what I had initiated. in my own words. They helped foster the space for me to do what I wanted to do. I didn't give myself more room to think of anything else. I came in with a single focus. I think that's really just kind of pointed to maybe what my purpose is in life, because I came in really focused on that.
What about ophthalmology drew you to it? What made you so decisive?
At that age, now that I reflect on it, I
Mhm.
think it's more of a sole purpose that I was meant to follow the path of my father,
Gotcha.
and for a greater reason down the line. I think that's what initially got me into it at 5. Seeing him go to work, he made it very interesting as well. He, broke it down, showed us the eye, not all my siblings. He taught all of us the same thing, but I think that was the whole purpose. It's just there's going to be a connection between me and my father and in his this profession. And I find joy in it. And while I think that was the initiation, I enjoy what I do. There's a lot in being able to talk to patients in their most vulnerable state. Like, you think about your eyes, you don't really think about your vision until something happens to it. And when something happens, like, the whole world is, in a blaze. Being able to be that person that helps someone in their most vulnerable state, in the most precious thing, the gift of sight, and to be able to use this knowledge, all the years of studying and taking tests, failing tests, passing tests, and then to be able a to treat them on a physical level, surgical level, but also to talk and provide guidance, provide comfort, even when they're progressively losing vision, but they know that they have somebody who is there to help them. Did all this studying to do my very best to help them, or to even help navigate their new normal. Um, when I say medicine is a art and a science, you learn the science, but the art is also the art of just talking and comforting and being supportive for patients. It's not always going to be a happy ending, but it doesn't have to be the end. So that's the joy of being an eye doctor.
What did it mean to follow in his footsteps?
My dad, he's an amazing guy. I come from a family with a lot of women on my mom's side and my dad's side. There's not a lot of strong male presence or a lot of men in the family. Seeing my dad, he's the one who kind of reshaped what the family dynamic is going to look like for everybody, whether it's my aunts, my grandma, how they view men, how my cousins who may not have a father, how they have that presence. I'm very close with him. To work so closely with a guy who is so influential to the whole family, even if he doesn't really think about it, he's just doing what he does. It really is a blessing. He's a very grounding influence, which is why I needed to follow him. That's going to help ground me as I go on to this other journey of my spiritual growth and how to tie all that together. At a young age, I needed to follow him and be close to understand the practical aspects of life, the very grounded aspects of life that is necessary to keep me going.
He's been a very good patriarch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's so interesting because what they say about the middle child often, a script, is that that's the wayward one. They can't get their life together. They're here, they're there, and you're not following script on that. You went to school, you studied hard, you're in practice with your father. Of the siblings, you may also get the label of the responsible one. You tell me if that's true. Don't let me impose that on you, because part of this is to also point out the imposed scripts. But you followed a path that, if I'm the parent, oh, yes, she's a doctor. Oh, and she's following in my footsteps. And this business that I've built, I have someone to take it over when I'm
Yes.
tired. How much of that plays into your development?
I never felt it as it being imposed on me as opposed to just walking into it. But I wouldn't say that I felt like I was handed this responsibility because of all that I've done and I followed. I never felt it as any extra burden or any, you know, um, anything that wasn't that I didn't want to have.
It was a good
It
fit for you.
fit. It just fit.
You talk about freedom. It sounds like you are leaving one place and entering another. Help me understand the way you described your father. All of this is soul driven. This is part of the mission for you. Him being a grounding factor. For what?
Going into medicine, he was the path, the conventional path of how you make this successful life. You go to school, you become a doctor, you come back, you join the practice. I needed to learn that from him, the way of the world. In my 39th year, I'm getting ready to move into this role of being a partner in the practice. My dad's looking to retire. What is it that I want? Now that you've gotten the background, the basis of how things have been run, this is how we got here. My dad was on the ground floor and he raised it up to the third floor. Now I'm starting at the third floor. How do I want to get to the rooftop? The shift for me is sitting and trusting and learning myself that what is it that you want and what you're looking for? What's your vision for the future? What are the steps that you are going to take? It's going to look different from what your father has done. You can't forget where you came from. That was the whole purpose of me being so close with him and really seeing the history and how he's made this life for us, this business that has provided all his kids to go to college and all the other stuff. All right, now you can grow and ascend and move forward into whatever that you want. But what do you want?
Mm.
So that's where I am. The whole shifting of my career, trusting in my internal guidance, but also having this vision for what does the practice look like, even in my own conventional way of doing things. Um, there's a little work in progress getting there and not seeking external validations. Now I'm just being grounded within myself and doing it from internal guidance.
Internal guidance. The shift that's occurring within you, the catalyst was or is moving into this partnership role, going
Hmm.
deeper into the conventional way that's causing you to step back and ask in your 39th year, what is it that Jessica wants? That's a big question. What are some of the rifts that are occurring? To become a doctor, you're immersed in a whole worldview culture that is medicine. That's partly raised you in a way because your dad is also a physician, especially if it's Western. That's a specific worldview. You had mentioned before you totally bought the medical Kool-Aid. Tell me more about that.
Doctors are very trusted individuals in society. The standard of becoming a doctor is it's hard. Western medicine, you're given all these different paths, learning pathophysiology. They've created systems-based subject learning that we are spoon fed or given, and we're fully indoctrinated in learning. But we're also taught that the ways of ancient medicine and traditional medicines are completely wrong. And there's a major shift to say that this is the only way that medicine is supposed to be done. Then we have a lot of money being put into research, and everything is research based, and as it should. But we're also realizing that we've demonized something that's been around for so long. We say that this way is the only way of knowing things to be. When I say I've drinking the medical Kool-Aid is because I myself has also been taught that this is the way it is. I don't trust anything else unless it is peer reviewed. Is there a PubMed article that has come up with it to back it up? I don't recall learning that in school. I was dating someone that I had met, back when I was 16. He came into my life and um, really, he was a big catalyst and inspiration to make me question everything because he is an herbalist and I'm a doctor. We were looking at each other sideways because I know one way, and here you are with your herbs and berries, and I'm like, how is this gonna work? I don't
Wait,
recall.
please pause for a second. You said, here you are with your herbs and berries. Okay, continue.
Yes. But that's the viewpoint of how I learned is that it has to be these pills and the this and the that. He made me question a lot of those things. Ancient Chinese medicine, all these different herbs, even coming from Jamaica. My grandma has bush tea and this, the ginger and the beetroot and the this. And when they would say it, I'm just like, eye roll, like, come on, guys. But like
Ah,
I grew up seeing it, but I also was just like, well, I'm a doctor and maybe I should do this and that. Meeting this person and really started to question everything that I learned and just like, why would I doubt something that's been here, that's even in my culture, to this day? That has been beneficial in many ways. One cannot live without the other. And that's where the problem is that you can't just say, I'm just going to take herbs and you don't have any tie-in with the whole modern medicine because they both need each other because even the pills that we take today come from traditional medicine. The herbs that are there,
the
they're just
derivatives. Yeah,
extracts.
yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be a tie-in between the two. We're taught in medicine that there is no tie-in. You have to keep it separate. And there's not enough research, but there's no money in researching herbs that you can grow in your backyard. You can see how economics can play a role into not wanting people to take this because pharmaceutical industry benefits from people being sick and buying their pills. I think part of my ultimate purpose is being able to marry the two. As I see patients every day, they want an alternative. They don't want to be on pills. People are really distrusting the modern medicine way of doing things, and they shouldn't, because like I said, there needs to be a tie-in between the two. But as doctors, we just don't know enough. Like we don't know enough about the other side because we were taught that it wasn't good. I'm just trying to learn more on the other side of how I can help tie it in. That's ultimately what's going to help patients in their journey of healing.
To become a doctor, to be in medicine, what is it that you've had to believe?
What is it that I had to believe to become a doctor? I would say you had to not believe in yourself and you had to believe in everything that you learned that was given to you to be considered a good doctor. You follow the script that you were given. There are nuances in reality. I kind of stopped believing in myself because you had to trust what was given. That's the part that's shifting for me is needing to believe in myself and question the script and marry the two for myself.
Okay. Is it possible there's another way to get to know the other side? Because to say you need to learn the other side, what does that mean? You've had a model that you followed, right? The text. Here it is.
Mhm.
Consume all of it and make it you. How are you approaching learning the other side? The other side being this more organic, natural healing methods that the medicine is a derivative of.
It's still early days for me in terms of learning traditional ways of healing, but books. I've been getting different books, learning about herbs, you know, reading about it. For me, a lot of it's just conversations. We've talked about intuitiveness that I've been awakening, and just a lot of healing really comes from inner healing and inner dialogue, and releasing the mental strongholds or fears that we all are carrying. And so just helping people, patients, friends, just through conversations of being able to see the things that we need to release.
Healing is beginning to take on not just treating the physical symptom or ailment, but considering the root and considering whole person. So more holistic.
Correct.
So now let's dive back to Mr. Tell me how that relationship was bringing you to the point of wanting to explore natural healing methods.
Hmm.
And are you still in that relationship?
We are not still together. It comes back again to soul purpose. The reason why we meet each other at a point in our life was to help heal one another. We are very close soulmates, but soulmates doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going to be married and have a forever life together, whether now, later, or in this life. We met at a very specific point in our lives where he helps to awaken a part of me to, like, Jessica, it's time to wake up. You are really in your human experience. You have a soul purpose that you need to awaken to. Meeting him, um, it didn't really go hand in hand. He was distrusting of doctors, and I'm distrusting of you're only healing with herbs. I don't understand that. But we have a very good connection where we'd be able to work through our resistance, and um, it really helped us to give and show love to each other to a point where we can find an equilibrium and camaraderie and understanding for what he does and what I do. Um, and that was really the purpose of that relationship for a year and a half. And it was a very amicable but sad breakup because it was more so of knowing that we fulfilled everything that we need to do for each other. Now I have to be focused on myself, not take away from his journey or my journey. And same with him. He got what he needed, and now we're on our separate paths, and not needing to seek external validations from him or being under his shadow or likewise. I'm very focused on me and my path and where I'm going. But yes, he was very influential in refocusing me on my soul journey.
What I'm hearing is relationship as a teacher
Hmm.
versus another script. A relationship ends, it's a loss, win or lose. Even on the soulmate front, for those who live in the world where soulmate is very romanticized, soulmates end up together. No, they don't always end up together. And oh, by the way, we have many. You were
Right.
lucky to spend a year and a half with one of yours. Still want to go back to this way of coming into the natural way of healing and you wanting to marry both of them. When we spoke initially, you talked about this new thing that was happening for you out of nowhere, this intuitive thing that was happening. Can you talk about that some?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it was like a year or two ago. I journal. I've always been journaling, for maybe the last like 5, 6 years. Then I realized at some point it would change from first person to third person. I forgot which tense that it is, that I'm getting these messages talking to me as I'm writing this message, I'm very emotional. Like I'm in tears because I know this is not me writing, but it's giving me a message that's feeding me, feeding my soul, and it's a message that I needed to hear. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I didn't know how to make it happen. It would just come. I was starting to become curious how to tap into that. Growing up, in a Christian household, you're not really you view astrology, tarot as negative. I would always have a little side eye to those things. It didn't make me feel comfortable because there's so much judgment, fear, and guilt associated with that type of stuff. I remember at some point I was really in seek of knowledge for something, and I'm praying, I'm going to church, I'm watching all kinds of services, but I'm not getting this information. I met this girl and she did an oracle card reading for me, and she gave me the answer that I've been asking for so long. And I was like, wow, through this oracle deck, she's given me information that really I needed to hear. At that point, it gave me permission to know that God is all around us, and you get information from our interactions with different people through different messages. It's all about intention. After that, I was like, hey, let me just start with some oracle card reading, communicating in that way. I got these angel and ancestor cards, and I would just like, I don't know, let's see where it goes. If there's a message, I would ask a question and then I could start writing and getting this intuitive message from there. And I progressed to um, tarot cards. It's different because I'm not a tarot reader in the traditional way. The way it works for me is that I'm communicating with my higher self. And I use a very specific tarot card. It's called the Light Seers Tarot because, again, I still have a little bit of apprehension about every tarot card. I feel the tarot maker really has to do with positive intention. But this one's called the Light Seers Tarot, and it's really for healing. I would ask a question and pick two cards, and then I'll get the message from my higher self where I can just write these very long, I don't even know how it happens, but I'm just listening and just typing. It's not audible, it's inner words. It's been very guiding having your intuition just in a 3D way, seeing it. It's been helpful for me. I've had, I guess you could say, my friends are clients because they'll ask and I will provide them with a message from their higher self. And it's been freeing, pretty awesome.
When you were learning medicine, the knowledge came from outside you, the text, the research, the peer reviewed paper. Now the message comes through you directly. So I'm curious what the oracle and the tarot are giving you that the writing doesn't alone. Because from the outside, it almost looks like the same reach for an outside source you were trained to need.
The oracle and tarot cards are, again, from me. I'm receiving the information myself and I'm not trusting in anybody else to provide the information. Part of me and my journey is learning to trust myself. It's still hard because even when I'm doing these messages and I'm receiving the message from me, there's still this level of self-doubt of how am I doing, like how am I getting this, and do I trust myself to act on this? It's different just to have knowledge, but acting on that knowledge is very hard, even if you have all the information in the world. It's learning to trust your inner guidance, and it's pretty cool, but it's kind of hard. But the tarot provides a little bit more information, a little bit more detail. When I shuffle the tarot deck, and I'm just thinking about the questions. The two cards that I pick is just random. The random cards, my guides are saying, stop, these are what I want you to pick out. In this Light Seer Tarot, it comes with a pretty big, extensive book just detailing the message behind each card and what is it that you're meant to take from it. The tarot gives a little bit more of a 3D real world explanation as to why my guides chose those two cards, then when I write the intuitive message, it explains in great detail and in specificity to that situation as why those cards were chosen. And how am I going to use that to help in that situation or my solution? It's just tying in the spirit and the real life tangible evidence as to how it all kind of works together. It's not just me talking, but like you see something else, an intermediary that is a little bit more believable in a sense, because a lot of times if you're talking to an intuitive person, you're like, all right, this person could just be making it up or it's just a word or whatever. If you have a card that backs up how it resonates with you, and then this message that ties in those words, it brings in not just a spirit but also a 3D element altogether.
Let me just play this back, what I'm hearing. I'm also taking into consideration that you come from this background that is evidence based. I need tests to be run. I need professional ratings on this. I need research on this. The tarot cards help you with the application piece. Specifically, how do I translate what is not explainable to those who need to know that there's an explanation to what's happening? Which
Hmm.
takes me back to the differences between this organic healing world and Western medicine that needs research, papers, evidence, and this side that it was learned by intuitive leanings. Pull this root, grind this together, and this is what it's going to treat, this is what it's going to help. And also relying on information coming from nature, spirit. So when you talk about marrying the two, I'm also hearing the transition of it and you needing the tarot for the application to speak language that most people can hear versus what's coming through you directly,
Hmm.
that you yourself might be struggling to understand.
Hmm.
Okay, okay,
You're
okay,
good. That was
okay.
very well. It helped me. I was like, yeah, that is true. That is why. Yes, you are correct.
I'm just wanting to break down what that process looks like. There may be other people in the medical field or whatever it is that has been the legitimate way, I put in quotation marks, of how you do something that are now experiencing cracks in that. And there's more than plenty of reasons why that might be happening now. What I was hearing earlier when you were talking about the machine of medicine, where now the pharmaceuticals involved. So there are dollars tied to why you're going to do it this way, for you to be interrogating how you've learned about medicine and coming back to healing methods, the bush tea, to see how these two are coming together for you, but just to be able to show the process of it. To sum up, what I hear are inherited scripts forged in love, the family dynamic of hard work, proximity to your father, the safety of the known. I also hear the imposed, Western medicine saying this is the only way, you having to not believe in yourself. And then what's emerging, your new scripts, the relationship as teacher stands out to me. This ended up opening up things rather than being a loss. To make sure I'm tracking well, how does all of
You're,
that land for you?
you are so good at what you do. I always think you're an excellent interviewer. That was a perfect summarization.
Okay, good. You had it all scripted out. You starred in that role and you've been doing it really well. Now you're questioning, is this the only way or can I do it differently?
Hmm.
For someone who's experiencing the same thing, maybe it's not a medicine, anything that was very well laid out as a path, and then there's this divergence. What would you say to them in terms of how to navigate it? Factoring in that you are also figuring out how to navigate it, specifically the piece around the safety and security of what the known gives you and figuring out the language for the unknown. It
Hmm.
feels like having help in figuring out the language and application of the unknown gives you safety. I'm thinking about your use of the tarot cards.
Mm.
What would you say to that person in a similar predicament?
As you say, I am trying to figure that part out myself. And every year I come up with a word of the year. My word of the year this year is fearless. It's a very terrifying word for me. I'm realizing how much fear is blocking me from being able to be free and be able to step into whatever my purpose is. This month of January has been really about trying to garner the tools and resources of how to become courageous and trusting in myself to move forward without seeking validation. And I found this book called Doing It Scared, that talks about different fear archetypes and then giving solutions or steps for each fear archetype. I think there's like 7 different fear archetypes. My number one, I'm a rule follower. People who are rule followers tend to be in medicine, law, enforcement, all these other things. And as I'm reading, I was like, oh my God, this is so my life. And the thing about that is just knowing that rules are for suckers. Again, terrifying because I am so used to sticking to the script. Safety and security is following the path, but learning it is okay to break the rule because who created them anyways? So I would just encourage people to find your courageousness. It's a great book so far, so Doing It Scared, I would recommend learning what is it that's preventing you from being your full authentic self. I'm a work in progress. That's where I am. It's just learning to do it scared. It takes action. As we're talking, I'm nervous because I'm like, I have to take action. And I do care too much about what other people say with authority, whether it's my dad or society or, whoever. But it's okay. If you're going to do it, you got to trust in yourself. We're all on that journey.
I appreciate you talking about being on the journey. I think what we've been able to demonstrate through our conversation is that no, lightning didn't just strike you one day and you've got it all figured out. You're figuring it out. You're in transition from scripts that were dominating, that were operating, that have served their purpose, updating and moving into new scripts that are meeting you where you are right now. When we were prepping for our conversation, some of the information you shared with me, you have practices that are helping you. What are those practices that are helping you navigate this in between time, this liminal space?
Journaling has been very, very helpful for me. I'm someone who needs to take what's in my mind, my emotions, and put it on paper. And it's very helpful to actually see how I'm feeling, whether it's the anxiety of it all, but being able to see it, put it on paper, and then I usually just sign it and know that it's there and doesn't live elsewhere where it ruminates in my mind. I can look at it when I need to, or I can never look at it ever again. And um, that's very freeing. Now I tend to spend some time meditating. Still a work in progress because sometimes it's really hard to sit and quiet your mind, but meditating, doing these intuitive writings has been very helpful in a guidance when I have questions or needing help in any aspect of my life. I'm very thankful for my team of guides and ancestors who helps me figure out my soul's purpose and navigating through the everyday of life.
Safety and security and the unknown. Again, you were raised and learned medicine in this place where 1+1=2. It's explainable. There's evidence. You're dancing now in this place of not necessarily logical, can't be explained, has to be felt, experienced. How are you holding both?
Also, very tough question because it's hard, but it's really comes down to trusting and believing in myself. So I think I shared with you my affirmation is, I can find safety and security in my unconventional path if I trust and believe in myself. That's very hard because I've spent my whole life trusting and believing in everybody else, whether it's the medical world or trusting that whatever my parents want for me is what I want for myself. Learning to just let go, trust me first, trust the intuitive guidance that comes to me, and trusting in God. It's a journey because for 39 years, I didn't trust in myself. That's the hard part.
Just want to mention an extra tool that I hear you using, and it's the affirmation.
Hmm.
Creating and having your own affirmation to help tackle not trusting yourself. So, giving yourself an affirmation is a good tool. To go back to what you talked about earlier, a word. You chose a word for the year, and that word is fearless. So, what's next?
What's next for me is I am taking the practice in my own direction. My dad, he's had his office in one location, the same city for the last 40 years. We're planning on moving, not only given the climate of healthcare in America, but also it's important for me to have my own direction and I'm not in the shadows of my father and everybody else's expectation for me. He was totally on board with it. It's amazing and scary because this is really trusting in myself. Safety and security would be staying right where I know has been successful. Moving will be trusting in myself that I made this decision and I will thrive. These are the steps. I'm going to create the environment that I want or I envision for myself. Clients are going to come and be resonated to wanting to be in my environment, which is going to be different from my father. He was the foundation, taking that and going to the mountaintop with it. So that in the career aspect of things, the spiritual aspect of things is just continuing to um, dive deeper in learning my ancestral history, diving deeper into this intuitiveness. It's just been a blessing. I don't have clients or anything, but for my family and my friends, people have come across me who've like, can you help? Can you tap in and do these readings for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. And it's just been a joy seeing that we all kind of need a little bit of outside push from our guides. And you take whatever resonates with you and you leave the rest. It's just been a joy to see everybody's like, yes, this is spot on. This is really on point. I think we're all just trying to be better. We want to live in our purpose. We're seeing the world is shifting. We're seeing that people really are seeking to be grounded in themselves and not get lost in the illusion of the world, that it can be very difficult and hard. It doesn't have to be that way as long as we follow our own path.
You are practicing being fearless. Thank you for sharing with us and for
Thank
taking the
you.
time to show it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Well, thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Trish. This has been such a joy.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Self-Centered Living. Come back next week as we continue exploring what shapes us and what wants to emerge. Our music is by Ketsu. Information on our participants can be found in the show notes. You can find me at selfcenteredliving.com. Take care until then.